Right. The Acting Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, has received the baton of office from Ibrahim Idris.
Yeah, the outgoing IGP's tenure ended on Tuesday when he reached the retirement age of 60. The new police chief has promised an accountable, transparent and motivational leadership. IGP Adamu says the first task will be to ensure a peaceful conduct of the general election, and officers will work with the INEC to secure the polls.
Overall, he assured citizens of a police force that will treat them with civility and hold their rights sacred.
My appointment represents a call to duty and a charge to restore the dwindling primacy of the Nigeria Police Force. Commanding the largest police force in Africa, particularly at this crucial time that the country is faced with multifaceted security challenges and at the peak of preparation for the general elections, is undoubtedly an odious task. However, it remains a fact that the force is blessed with some of the finest officers anywhere in the world that are not only intellectually gifted and exceptionally dedicated, but professionally sound enough to surmount these tasks if the right leadership is provided.
All right, TVC News senior researcher and assistant editor assignment and research joins us for discussion. Cyril Abaku, good morning.
Thank you.
Good to have you.
Right.
And of course, our defense correspondent Sifon Essien is standing by in our Abuja studio to look at this discussion that we have, talking about the task before the new IG, Mohammed Adamu.
Sifon, it's good to have you join us right now.
Good morning.
Okay. All right, let's start with you, Sifon, here. Now, the point there is, when it comes to a new IG taking over the reins of leadership in the police force, we often see the retirement of DIGs and other AIGs and so on. Talk to us from what you have seen generally. How many DIGs and AIGs have left office now? And because we know that some of them were just promoted in just only about a year.
Yes, currently the management team has 7 DIGs, and coming on board of Mohammed Adamu, you know, from the rank of AIG to Inspector General of Police. Obviously, those who were his seniors and even some of his mates would be given the opportunity to voluntarily retire. It's been the norm, you know, even when Ibrahim Idris came on board as Inspector General of Police, his predecessors, that's usually the culture. So in a matter of days, we're going to be seeing a number of DIGs, a number of AIGs, at least 13 AIGs and counting, would have to voluntarily resign from the service. It's normal, and they know about it, because the new IG coming on board will have to constitute his management team, largely those who would fill the positions of DIGs and a force secretary, most often an AIG.
And of course, the acting IG of police, Mohammed Adamu, comes with a lot of pedigree. What are you hearing about people's impression or perception about his emergence as new IG, at least in acting capacity?
Well, the impression within the force is that the belief that the new acting IGP would bring about discipline within the force. Largely, that has been the complaint in recent times of indiscipline, impunity within the service, and they expect the acting IGP to put things in place. The previous IG was accused of promotions that fell short of requirement, you know. At some point in time, Senator Misar accused him of arbitrarily recommending officers for promotion who did not deserve such promotions. And the Police Service Commission is actually looking into the matter. But that's why the coming on board of Mohammed Adamu is expected to address issues of discipline within the force, address issues of welfare within the force. The task before the new police boss is enormous, and within the service and outside the service, a lot is expected of this police IG, and he acknowledges the enormity of the task in front of him, particularly the elections, which are just a couple of weeks ahead.
All right, Sifon, we'll come back to you. Let's bring in Cyril in here. Now, on the front page of the Punch newspaper this morning, there was this headline that says, or there is this headline that says, acting IG blames rot in police force on weak leadership. Now, the point there is, we have often seen every IG that comes into office always talks about, we are going to change this, we're going to change that, we're going to infuse this, we're going to... But when they come to office, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, nothing really seems to change. What's going to be different about this?
If there's any IGP who has perhaps arguably the greatest burden to effect change, it must be IGP Adamu, acting IGP Adamu. It can be hectic to be a Nigerian IGP in an election year. It's not an enviable position, but I think that as the 20th IG of police, indigenous IG of police, he has a lot. He has a lot in terms of the archives, in terms of past reports, in terms of experience, in terms of where others fell into pits and what he can learn from. If the 20th IGP cannot look back at the files, at the books, and see where his predecessor made errors and what he can change from those, then fundamentally something is wrong. I believe for one that, you know, he said the right thing about leadership and about the fact that he now needs to look at the pitfalls that even his own immediate past predecessor has made, and then chart a new course.
Okay, you know what? Well, let's put you on hold. Let's go to Abuja, where our defense correspondent Sifon Essien is, and then we will now explore all of the issues involved, especially as the new IG takes over the reins of power, the leadership of the police. Sifon, yeah, just like Mike referred to the the Punch, acting IG blames rot in police force on weak leadership. Now, the issue of politics, finding its way into Nigeria police force and all of that, how tough will it be for the IG to convince Nigerians and, the international community that truly, just like he has said, he will be fair to all political parties?
Now, it's actually going to be very tough because the expectations are very high. And coming on board of Mohamed Adamu is one that he has to walk the talk. He's identified the problems, weak leadership. So he has to provide stern and enviable leadership at this moment. It's a daunting task. And the days to come and the steps he would be taking would, either convince or further deepen the fact that he may not be the man for the task. But right now, he's the acting Inspector General of Police. He has made his terms of what he intends to do clear, attack leadership. How he intends to go about it is what we are yet to see, or the coming days would show. But he's appointed a new spokesman, an indication that he means business. He wants to improve the image of the force and the content of the force. But how he handles the case, for instance, Senator Dino Melaye is in detention. How he handles that case to a large extent will determine what fate people would have in the police. How he handles other cases, particularly kidnap for ransom cases and criminal activities along north central Nigeria, up the Straits from Kaduna, Zamfara, Katsina axis, would be a defining factor. How he handles welfare of officers and men would be a defining factor. As I mentioned earlier, it's an enormous task for the new police boss, and the days to come, the actions he takes would actually determine if he is taking the bull by the horn. As I've mentioned to you, he's yet to constitute his management team comprising DIGs. As soon as he does that, the quality of persons he brings on board will also determine the quality of leadership that he would bring to bear in the Nigeria police under his watch.
All right. Sifon Essien, our correspondent in Abuja, thank you very much for talking to us on this topic this morning. Let me come back to you, Cyril. The new IG, while he was talking earlier on, that we were playing in that report, was talking about how challenging it is to command the biggest police force on the African continent. One can just only imagine how challenging it's going to be when it comes to terrains and when it comes to different complexities within the system. But let's, now that he is on, no one can say he doesn't have an understanding. He rose through the ranks to wherever he is right now, so he knows what the issue is. But what do you think will be his first priorities now coming into office?
Well, as I said, first of all, I mean, his eyes are on the elections. So much is going into that. And even the way he's going to constitute his team, because the fact is that with the DIG is going, some people have said, isn't this a risk? Don't we need quality hands in the force? Don't we need people with experience and solid background? But, you know, if you do a SWOT analysis, there is both the good side of it and the bad side of it. The good side of it is that he can promote people whom he who he sees as having the capacity, having the competence to come on board and form the team with him. The issue is that, you see, what you do is as good as who you are.
Yeah.
We agree that criminality is on the rise, but what is our response? The quality of thought that we bring to bear. Yes. The fundamental disconnect between the Nigerian society and the police is not even the issue of crime enforcement of the law. The police are there to enforce the law primarily and to check crime. But you see, the police ought to be the citizens' closest engagement with the state. I mean, we see in Sena crimes where police will arrest 3 people for a crime and say this person has been seen. We don't think he has any issues. Restoring
public confidence in the police would be job one for him, as you know. Then, of course, the returning Edgar Moimi as CP, you know, immediately, and of course the appointment of Frank Mba, who comes with a lot of, you know, pedigree. What does that really say about the person? Because you just said his actions will be a reflection of his person. No, well,
I think a number of concessions have to be made. The first is that the police does not enjoy political independence. So we cannot, so let's not dwell too much on that. The other one is the fact that I think the PSC, in one of the reports, was complaining about illegal transfers. A number of times, a lot of interests are at play. And so if an incoming IGP didn't deem a particular transfer, didn't deem a particular action necessary, he has the power to reverse it. I don't hold him to account for that. But you see, the fundamental issue is that politicians, for instance, have started taking people's account numbers and making transfers. Maybe they are making transfers in installment. When you vote the election, they pay the remaining. Or some are even paying fully. And they are doing these things braggadociously, you know, like they're not hiding it. Can the police begin to arrest people that are involved in vote buying, political marketing for vote buying and vote selling? That would launch him in public eye as someone who understands what the issues are and is willing to take the bull by the horn, beginning from where it matters the most at the moment.
Yeah, that is assuming then that the police actually has the capacity and what it takes to actually apprehend the people that are behind this.
But the point is, how do you determine when it comes to the issue of vote buying in that regard, when you've collected or you collated a bank account and you're transferring money, how do you determine?
Do you follow the money? How do you track
even if you follow the money, how do you determine that it is vote buying in that regard? Because the point there is, it could be empowerment of your constituents, depending on how you want to see it. It could be the issue of helping women or market women or helping students or helping the unemployed. It could be interpreted in any way. So until you take it to court and then you find evidence. But the point there is, the name is not written on any money to say, okay, this particular money is going for this corrupt practice or the other one. So it's going to be a little more difficult.
Even when they're collecting PVCs, you know, because the way this thing happens is that if you want to investigate a particular crime, there's a motive behind it, and then there is the means.
And there's a pattern.
Yes, there's a pattern. And the
timing.
Yes, the timing, the means, the motive. You also need to understand the fact that, you see, the police has a special unit that is in charge of financial intelligence. So if they want to investigate a particular trend or a particular, it is easy for them. Look, all you need to do, what the law says is anyone caught. You only need to make an example and let the world know that that you've arrived. It will help to send the message clear. But if the IG, there was a report, I think, in Punch some days ago. I don't know whether, but people are saying that, look, people are lobbying for positions and so on and so forth. I don't want to quote them. Yeah. But assuming it was true, that people have started saying, look, Oga, we are here, you know, and so on. These are the things the IG need to sit down and say, look, who is the best man for the which job? Role? For which, because look at Ondo State, for instance. You have the level of kidnapping is high. Yesterday in Abuja, an interfaith dialogue took place, Muslims and Christians and so on. While he will be meeting with the DSS, while he will be meeting with INEC, he needs to meet with both state actors and non-state actors in building some level of consensus going into the election, because the police alone cannot do it.
Exactly, but how much really can he achieve if he does not have the support of the federal government in terms of funding? Don't forget, the outgone IG, Ibrahim Idris, actually cried out about, you know, inadequate funding for the police. He actually talked about some 9 trillion naira to actually get the kind of policing or police that we require. He has said, as a matter of fact, people have been, you know, calling on the new IG to restore professionalism, you know, look at welfare of officers and all of that. How much can he really achieve if he doesn't have the support of the federal government and, of course, the, you know, general public? There
are many things he does not even have. For funding is one, infrastructure is another. He does not even have enough men. You know, the United Nations will say that for 100,000, you need 300 policemen and so on. Our ratio is weak. That's why the recruitment exercise is now on to hire about 280,000 extra. And then
see here on the front page of it, police portal closes, 315,000 applied for 10,000 vacancies.
Exactly. So you see, there's pressure. There's a press. Now, so how do we deal with this issue? I think that since the police, even if you hire 10,000 and not 100,000 today, we still haven't gotten to where we should be. So what he needs to do is to find a way to create a community, a support community, faith-based organizations, INEC, observers, and so on. You see, when people see that you have the best intentions to do a job, they are going to help you. The police should not look at everybody as a criminal until he proves himself a non-criminal. They should look at us as collaborators in the process, even the media. I think the former police IG came here to TVC at the time. He needs to go to media and do a tour, so that you see he can, being that he's a new kid on the block or there's a new sheriff in town, there's a minimum modicum of confidence that people have in him, so he may do things differently. He still has the time, maybe in the next 2-3 weeks or so. But if he fails to do those, then you see expectation, and it will be too. I mean, he would have lost too much momentum that he could have gained within a short time.
Yeah, but do you think Nigeria, you know, the point is, if you watch the average Nigerian, if I'm watching football, for instance, it looks like we're so impatient. When Nigeria loses a match, it's like, no, the coach is not good, no, the captain is not good, all the players are bad, and all of that. And then when they win the match, oh, we are the best. Do you think the avid Nigerian is patient enough to say, okay, let's give this man time, even if he's not getting the results yet? Let's allow him explore all the strategies, explore all the avenues, explore all the dimensions towards ensure, because like he said, he's commanding the largest police force on the continent. If you go to Zamfara, see what's happening. Go to Benue, see what's happening. Go to Borno State, see what's happening. Taraban and Southern Kaduna and all of that, and Katsina.
And speaking of which, the president actually made a statement that, look, you know, that he would have liked a situation where the police would be leading the charge when it comes to internal security. You know, but the military is overburdened, having to, you know, tackle the
So from the perspective of the Nigerian, do you think Nigerians are patient enough to say, okay, let us give him some time, let's give him some support, let's stand by him no matter what?
Well, I don't expect that the press conference of yesterday or 2 days ago is enough for us to. Is enough for him to have stated what he wants to do. He needs to come up with a policy of a plan of action. What the police will be doing, you know, from now. I believe talking about issues of discipline, civility, and so on. Yes, welfare. But you see, he needs to have a proper blueprint first of all, which will look more like his own manifesto, from which we are going to judge him. But you see, like I said, he is the 20th IGP of police. The average policeman officer understands what is, the intricacies. He has enough to learn from.
Yeah. Pitfalls to avoid.
Pitfalls you know, to avoid. And so, having been a police commissioner, he has had a governor. He has had DPOs. That's like a mini structure of what he's going to face in Abuja. I expect that he will be able to bring to bear the things that what the yearnings of Nigerians have been over the years.
It's
simple.
interesting you even talk about him being in Abuja now. The present structure of the police. Would that not be working against him at the end of the day?
No, this is why I would say, this is why I would say that, you see, the people he brings on board, look, I know maybe federal character may come into play and so on, but the people is going to bring on board.
No, federal character has to come.
Mike, it's important. The people you make DIGs, they must be competent enough. They must be of solid character. Go to the average police station. I don't think he can change those things overnight. Our police stations don't have computers systems. Yeah. You know, I mean, just imagine if you call a police officer and say somebody is robbing in my neighborhood, they say they don't have a operational vehicle.
No petrol.
There was a time somebody came and stole at the facility I was working. I was one that was paying. We know we're taking bike. I was one that was paying Okada for us to. And so those things may not change so suddenly, because you see, if you have not first of all brought about reorientation to the average constable, even if you give him all the things he needs, he will still bring those things down to his own level again. So it's enough. But from where he is, how much can he see? There is the issue of the most he can do and the lesser than that he does.
And the least that he can do.
So it won't be enough for the IG to say, remove the checkpoints, you know, and all of those things that don't amount to issues.
All right.
Okay.
As time goes on, things will become clearer. Cyril Abaku,
yes, indeed.
Thank you very much for coming on the program this morning.
Thank you very much.
Editor and head of research. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.